Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Devin and I read books, and today we are going to do my mid-month reading check-in. So this month has been a little lighter, or not a little lighter, quite a bit lighter on books overall, and some of that is just busyness at work, and some of that is just prepping and planning content for Old School April. Old School April next month, I'm going to have a lot that I'm trying to get through. It'll be a lot of smaller stuff, but some bigger video projects and YouTube stuff. So this month is kind of my decompress time period, and then I'm gonna hit the ground running on April 1st. But I am, hold on, 4 books into the month already. We'll kind of break them down here. So if you want to get technical, I finished book 3 of Dungeon Crawler Carl on the 1st of March. So I don't know if I want to count that. That one in particular, I wasn't a huge fan of, but I then moved on to book 4, Gate of the Feral Gods, and loved it. I absolutely loved it. I'm waving my Kindle around because that's how I have been reading this series. Absolutely loved book 4. It was spectacular. It was all the normal comedy and charm that you would come to expect from the other 3 books, but the level itself and some of the twists from this particular book were just top tier. It was just spectacular. Some of the stuff that happens balanced out with the comedy. It's just very hard to describe Dungeon Crawler Carl and how it makes you feel when you read it, because it's almost like Hunger Games. There's a little more comedy, then it gets really dark, and you see all this character development and growth between everything, and it's kind of just a fun pile of everything. I'm really enjoying the series so far. I loved book 4. I think I gave it 4 stars, and I've started book 5 already, but that will probably be the last book I read for the month, so let's move on past Dungeon Crawler Carl for now. But speaking of the Hunger Games, I don't have the physical book. I kind of regret that now, because I probably would have finished it if I did, but I've been listening to the audiobook of Sunrise on the Reaping on my phone, which is all the way over there, which is the newest Hunger Games book, and I love it so far. I'm not even that far, but it's so good. So this book in particular focuses on Haymitch Abernathy and his games, and he was the mentor for Katniss Peta in the original Hunger Games trilogy. But you also get this look at all these characters that had bigger roles in the main Hunger Games story years before that happened. On one hand, it's set up similar to the beginning of the Hunger Games, but on the other hand, things are different, and you see things from a different perspective, and then you see how that kind of impacted characters later on, and it's just wonderful so far. I'm having a wonderful time with it. I cannot stop listening to it. I'm probably going to finish it in the next day or 2. So as far as actual physical books goes, I've only read 2 others that were not Dungeon Crawler Carl. The first one, and take a deep breath, because this book kind of requires a little bit more solemnity, and that is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is not a particularly new book by any stretch of the imagination. This is kind of a heavy book in a lot of ways. It's really about choices and regrets and life in general, and I thought it was spectacular. I really enjoyed it. There's some slight trigger warning, but it really, specifically trigger warning for suicidal ideation and loss, but it really kind of focuses in on several different themes of, learning to accept that you kind of don't have control, and every choice you make kind of has this, or don't make for that matter, has this butterfly effect on your life, and you can't live your life kind of held up on those regrets, because what you regret may not always have been the best outcome for you. The end of that chain of events, things may not be better off. I highly recommend it. I gave it a 5-star. I absolutely loved it. I don't read a lot of literary or contemporary fiction, but I'm very glad that I stepped out of my fantasy and horror comfort zone and read that for sure. The next book is my comfort zone. So this was a Nightworms book several months ago. It's been a while. I'm very behind on my Nightworms books. But that is The Queen by Nick Cutter. So I actually just finished this last night, and I really loved it. I didn't love it as much as The Troop, but I liked it a lot more than The Deep. I cannot make comparisons to what this book is kind of like without spoiling some of the plot elements, so I will just read the brief synopsis. One sunny morning in June, Margaret Carpenter wakes up to find a new iPhone on her doorstep. She switches it on and is greeted by a text from her best friend Charity Atwater. The problem is Charity's been missing for over a month. Most people in town, even the police, think she's dead. Margaret and Charity have been lifelong friends. They share everything, know the most intimate details about each other, except for the destructive secret hidden from them both. A secret that will trigger a chain of events, ending in tragedy, bloodshed, and death. Now Charity wants Margaret to know her story, the real story. Typical Nick Cutter, he focuses in on friends or families and their relationships and their history, and he just kind of digs in, and I really liked it. I loved it. I loved the character development. I love that Nick Cutter tends to focus his stories on a small pool of characters. You don't get a lot of extraneous side characters, so pretty much everyone gets development. I really liked it. I think I'm going to hunt down his other book, Little Heaven, and then probably Handyman Method, and just keep diving down this rabbit hole. He is 2-in-1 with me. The only book I didn't care for so far was The Deep. I really like The Queen. It's spectacular. You know, the cover art is great. I have the Nightworms with the little book plate too, so that's really cool. I can get it to stabilize. It doesn't want to. That's fine. But I love it. I read it over a course of just a few days. Absolutely spectacular. I gave it 4 stars. Wasn't quite perfect, but it was very, very good. So for the rest of the month, again, I'm pretty much just going to be planning content. I'm going to finish Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 5 and Sunrise on the Reaping. I might try to fit in another smaller book, like The Unworthy, which just came out. I just got my Nightworm copy. You know, maybe, oh god, book plate's coming up. Maybe a children's fantasy, young adult fantasy, something pretty small. Actually, I was just thinking, I do need to read The Haunting of Velkwood still. I've heard a lot of really positive things, and that's only a few pages. So this might get slapped on to the end of the month as well. But definitely Dungeon Crawler Carl, and prepping for Old School April. But other than that, guys, this is going to be just a short video. That's just what I've been reading over the last couple weeks. Thank you for watching. Please keep an eye out over the next couple weeks for more pre-OSA content, and then I hope you'll join us next month for Old School April. Other than that, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the new viewers and subscribers over the course of the last few weeks. You guys are spectacular, and I will catch you next time.